Hey, ShawnQ here, and I am your high-ticket sales coach, and in this video, I'm going to show you 3 insights that I've recently received that has dramatically shifted the way I show up in my life, and I know it's going to show you how you can continue to make massive impact with crazy confidence so you can also show up differently as your best version of yourself in your life too. All right, so I was driving to work this morning when I heard something that literally hit my soul in a way where you're like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe that was exactly what I needed to hear today. And I was listening to the Professional Troublemaker podcast by Levy Ajayi Jones, and what was really incredible about what she said was she said, if you grew up on shaky ground, there's good news. You can't be shaken. Why? Because you know how to ride that wave. And it reminded me of when I grew up in Southern California in a really tough city where 60% of the city was on government welfare. In other words, if the government stopped giving them any type of welfare checks, food stamps, any type of support, 60% would immediately go homeless, which is insane. Crime rates were crazy high. Mental health challenges were crazy high. Dropout rates of high school and middle school were incredibly high. Teen pregnancy was incredibly high. I mean, it is, and it remains to be today, a really tough city. I remember growing up with, my parents divorced. I was bullied a lot. And when I heard that phrase, if you grew up on shaky ground, no one can shake you, it reminded me that we literally have everything we need in order to succeed. Our past has literally prepared us for the success that you're going to experience in the future. My past has prepared me for what I'm experiencing today. And it's given me this amazing insight into the fact that even when things are tough, you've been through tougher. When things are hard, you've gotten through the hardest. When things look bleak and like the darkest day and you have all this pressure around you, you have challenges, whether it's in business, your marriage, yourself, you've been through tougher days and you've survived. I want to give you an example of when I was working at my last 9 to 5. This was years ago. And within the first 6 months, I was promoted to be the youngest manager. I was boss to a couple of people. I was pretty proud of myself. I was pretty accomplished. I was the youngest manager in the entire history of the organization. It was pretty awesome. And for the first 2 weeks, I felt really good. Oh yeah, I totally got this. This is going to be so simple, so easy. And what happened was 2 weeks later, instead of being so excited about life, I was depressed. I was overwhelmed. I was stressed out of my mind. I had no idea what I was doing. I was literally lost. I remember actually having lunch with a friend where my legs were shaking so much that he was like, Shawn, I feel like you're going to have a panic attack right now. I feel like you're going to have a heart attack right now. I was just so stressed. And even thinking about it, literally I'm getting stressed because of how much stress there was involved. And eventually what had to happen, 6 months later, I had no idea what I was doing. I was at a loss. I was making every single mistake. I was failing at every level. And my boss ended up demoting me, ended up hiring the old manager back. And I was at a place where my pride had been completely killed. And I thought, I am not as awesome as I thought I was. I'm a failure. And I remember feeling and thinking, I'm never going to recover from this. What do I do now? Because I was so wrapped up, my identity was so wrapped up in what I was doing that when that was taken away from me, it rocked my entire world. And it was in that season that I discovered something that was so key, that has been so key to my success. And I think it's going to be key for you as well. I discovered that the pressure that I experienced then prepared me for the pressure I experience today. And I grew to be thankful for the pressure. I want you to actually put your hand on your heart. Put it on your chest, and I want you to say, I'm thankful for the pressure. I'm thankful for the pressure. Here's the reality. Today, I now have I have staff members, I have payroll, I have leases in my name for like property. I have clients that rely on me. There's a greater pressure. I own the business now, as opposed to being just like an employee in a business. Like there is so much added pressure, and it's been really cool to not feel it as much as I felt the pressure back then. And here's the insight. The pressure then will prepare you for the pressure now. I am so thankful for the pressure of entrepreneurship because, and I don't know if you've recognized this, but as a business owner, you've literally put yourself in a pressure cooker, because not only do you have to fulfill, right? If you're a great graphic designer, awesome. If you're a great brand strategist, great. But business is more than just doing that work. You also got to be the accountant, the salesperson, the marketer. You got to be the operations, the project manager. You got to be all of it until you get a team. And even then, getting a team often requires a new job of leadership, management, people management, relationship management. As a business owner, as an entrepreneur, there are pressures that you are experiencing, that I experience every single day. And I am so thankful for the pressure, because I now recognize that the pressure simply reveals the gold that exists underneath. You are golden, my friend. You are magic. You literally have everything you need inside of you. And the way that oftentimes comes out is when squeezed. What truly is inside of you will come out when squeezed. And so if there's gold, if there's magic, if you're incredible at what you're doing, then it's pressure. It's this experience of entrepreneurship that's going to allow you to reveal those things. So I'm now thankful for the pressure then, because it prepared me for the pressure now. And I'm so thankful for the pressure now because it's going to prepare me for the pressure later. The pressure you're experiencing will prepare you for the pressure later. And if we could just be real human, if we could just be real for a second, that season sucked. Like that season where I was demoted, I had no idea what I was doing, I was depressed, I was stressed, it sucked. And I survived. And I am still alive today, breathing, happy, smiling. So no matter what pressure you're experiencing, I recognize how difficult it can be. I recognize the emotional toil that you might be experiencing. You will survive. You're going to get through this. You're going to not just survive, you're going to get to a place where you look back and you realize how much you needed that season to appreciate this season. How much you needed that season to help you become the person that could experience this season. Something else that I had to learn was that the mountaintop is always uphill. That'll preach, first of all. But what does that mean? If you want to get to the top, if you want to get to the mountaintop, if you're going on a hike, guess what? You're not walking on flat land. It's not going to be an easy, it's going to be an uphill walk, which means you got to put the work in, you got to put the energy in, you got to put the effort in, you got to take one baby step at a baby step at a baby step at a time. You got to take 1% progress, and eventually you'll get there. I want you to put your hand on your heart again. Breathe in, breathe out, and simply say, eventually I'll get there. Eventually I'll get there. And it's so common when you're walking uphill to look back and see the view and say, wow, I've walked so far, this is good enough. This has been a pretty good hike. And to settle for where you're at. But I want to encourage you, the only time you should be looking back is when you're looking back to see how far you've come and to convince yourself that you've come too far to only come this far. Every single entrepreneur out there has asked themselves, would I be better off doing something else? Would I be better off? What if I just go do that? Because it's so much easier than business, than entrepreneurship. And when I look back and I think, I've come too far, it creates a new inspiration, a new urge, a new passion, a new energy to say and appreciate every single step that you've taken along the way. And then to be able to say, wow, there's no way I can go back. There's nothing back there for me. I've learned that lesson. I've acquired that skill. I've gotten what I needed from that season. There's no way I can go back. I am a different person. So even if I went back, things would be completely different. So I'm kind of going on a tangent there, but the top of a mountain is always uphill, which means you got to celebrate those progresses. If you try to take massive action and just leap your way to the top of a mountain, you're going to get exhausted real fast. It's one baby step at a time. Consistent 1% growth every single time. Something that I've been encouraged by, that I want to encourage you as well, to kind of add to your vocabulary, is one phrase that has made life so much easier for me. And it's, I don't know, but let's try. I don't know, but let's try. And this is what I've done is, I was actually having a conversation with my friend Brian Buck, and he's actually one of our clients as well. And he was saying, treat everything as an experiment, because when you treat everything as an experiment, nothing ever fails. You always just learn. When you treat everything as an experiment, you'll never fail. You'll always learn, right? Because you're like, let's try it and let's see what we learn. I can't tell you how many times I've said that to my staff. I can't tell you how many times I've said that to myself, where there's something in front of me, I've never done it before. And it's like, well, the worst thing that's going to happen is it doesn't work, and we learn one way of not doing it. If I were to write another book, it would be 1,000 things not to do because I've done them all. And I've made all those mistakes. And guess what? I'm going to make 1,000 more before I choose to quit or before I choose to go back. And that's the mindset you should have. I'm going to take 1,000 more steps forward and make 1,000 more mistakes before I choose to quit. I'll get there eventually. It's where you give yourself grace. You give yourself patience. You give yourself permission to make mistakes. And oftentimes, when it comes to mistakes, you're looking at your mistakes and you're associating it with the red marks from a teacher that failed you at a class. And there were repercussions to that. You'd go get detention. You'd fail a whole class, so you'd have to stay in that grade. You'd have the stern talking to from a father or a mother. And so when you make a mistake, you're associating that mistake with that pain. But I want you to give yourself permission. I'm okay making mistakes. I'm okay making mistakes. Because I'm not striving for perfection, which is impossible, by the way. There's a lot of despair and depression and anxiety with when it comes to perfection, because we will never acquire it. We don't strive for perfection. Instead, we strive for excellence. The job that I had, I was a video editor, video producer, marketing director. And I was doing this thing where I was looking at a lot of the old videos that I produced back when I had that job. I was looking at the things that I produced when in my first year as a video editor, and then the thing that I was producing in my 8th year as a video editor. And it was like night and day. I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe we published that. That was so bad when I was looking at the first thing. And then when I was looking at the 8th year, I was like, wow, that was some really good stuff. And it was really cool to see that progress of my growth. You know what's really cool though, was remembering how excited I was that first year when we did publish that content, when I did edit it. I remember how proud I was of the videos that I produced in that first year. and how I was so excited and so in awe of this really bad video that I can look back at now, but so in awe of like, oh my gosh, I did this. That's amazing. And here's why, because in that season, as a first year video editor, video producer, that was excellent for me because I never created anything up until that point like it. What was excellent for me in my 8th year was different than what was excellent for me in my first year. But if you strive for excellence, you're going to do your best today. I want to do what's excellent for me. And then tomorrow, it might be a different standard. Never apply tomorrow's standard to today's work. Oh, that's for somebody. That was so good. Never apply tomorrow's standard to today's work. Because you're going to be better tomorrow and the next day and the next day. So do what you can today. Get started. Don't let fear hold you back. Don't allow the fear of mistakes hold you back. You have permission to make mistakes and not get punished. You have permission to make mistakes and not get punished for those mistakes. Go make the mistakes. You're going to make 1,000,000 of them. I make them all the time. And then you learn, and then you get better. I once heard a coach say, mistakes aren't something to avoid on your way to success. Mistakes are the actual pathway to success. It's how you get there. You get to success through failure because you make mistake after mistake after mistake after mistake until you don't. In the long history of everything that's ever existed, that's ever worked, at one point it didn't. At one point, planes did not fly. At one point, pencils did not write. At one point, cameras did not work until they figured it out, made every mistake, and then learned how to make them work. You're going to make mistakes. Give yourself permission to do that. So here are your 3 insights. Number 1, you have everything you need in order to succeed. Your past has prepared you for the success you're experiencing and you're going to experience. Number 2, be thankful for the pressure because it's the pressure that reveals the gold inside. And number 3, I don't know, but let's try it. You have permission to make mistakes, to learn, to grow, and to become the very best version of yourself for today. Because tomorrow, you're going to be better. The next day, the next day, and the next day. I'm ShawnQ, your high-ticket sales coach. I hope you go apply this. Take this insight. Breathe it in. Live it. Give yourself permission to make mistakes. Go make a mistake today. Learn from it. I would much rather be in action, making mistakes, than not doing anything and not making any mistakes. Mistakes are proof you're in the game. I'll see you in the next video.